right, so part one to starting seeds. First, these are last year's pots that have been rinsed out with soap and water and dried, so they shouldn't have any mildews or mold that'll kill off your seeds. Works out to being a 72 well tray. I'm just setting these in there, and I want to make sure that I've pushed down any of these that are sort of poked up in there all the way down so that the soil gets all the way down where it'll get water when I'm bottom watering these. If they are not in contact with the bottom of the tray, then bottom watering is not going to work. So I'm pushing those all down. And then I'm going to pour a whole ton of soil on here, and ignore the brand. I'm not trying to make a recommendation, but I'm just pouring a lot of seed starting mix on top here. And I'm going to level that all out. Helps to have newspaper down so you make a little bit less of a mess. And dogs don't always appreciate boring Sundays like this, but it's about to start raining out. So I'm pushing down all the potting soil with my fingers to get it deep into those wells. And I'm going to do the entire tray this way, just pushing them all down in there. As I said, we want the soil firmly compressed so that water will wick up through. You can see I didn't put quite enough, so I'm going to dump another load of soil on there. Doesn't always cooperate. Try again. Spread that all out. And then once again, I'm going to go across the whole tray and just mash it down in there. This is an important part. If there's air touching your seeds, they will not be happy. So you want the soil firmly compressed so that it will wick water and so that there's no air in contact with your seeds. Drying them out. All right, so I pushed it down again. I'm once again going to smooth it all out. Any excess I'm just going to take off of there. That'll get used for the next batch. So once this is done, then what I like to do is fill the bottom of this with water and let it sit overnight. The advantage of having it sit overnight is that you know that water is going to get all the way up to the top, and then when you're planting your seeds, you're planting them into moist potting soil. And if they don't get wet, like you have old dried out potting mix and you let it sit overnight and it's still dry on top, well, you know your seeds are not going to be happy. So before you even plant them at that point, you can stop and decide that you're going to mist the top of it or do something to truly get it wet. Right now, I'm just going to fill this up. So it comes about halfway up the height of each thing. Putting plenty of water in there. Pop the last one back in there. And then, as I said, best bet, let them sit overnight. Sometimes I'm in a hurry. I plant right now, but I still want to make sure and check the next day, and it should be evenly moist on top. If it's not evenly moist on top, either I didn't add enough water, or this is dry soil that's dried out completely and not wicking properly, at which point I'm going to try to mist the whole thing. The risk with misting it is if you're a little too aggressive misting it, you may wash your seeds away. So that's why I really like bottom watering and why I like to make sure that I've got my soil nice and moist before I even start planting the seeds. So step one, guys, we'll be on to step two in a moment.